Wakanda Forever has some big problems. Huge problems. And now that the movie has been out for a little bit, I think it's safe to say that we can address these problems. Because what tends to happen when movies first come out is everyone thinks it's the best thing that's ever happened. I mean, I've heard some crazy things out there. People are actually saying this movie is better than Endgame or Civil War. Or even better than the first Black Panther. I think this is all ridiculous stuff. But that's what happens when a movie is fresh. To me, it's no different than being at the bar and you have a few drinks in. Every chick looks hot. And it's the same problem with this movie. It's fresh out, so we're all gonna say this is great. This is the best movie ever made. When in all reality, let's face it, the movie is mediocre. And it's a slight step down from the first movie. And let's go over the biggest issues with Wakanda Forever. The first one being the funeral in the very beginning. I mean, was I the only one that was wondering, where are all the Avengers? I mean, you guys bled and fought with each other, and none of them bothered to show up, or were they not invited? To me, that seems kind of stuck up from the Wakandian people. I mean, you're not gonna invite any of the Avengers? At least the people behind Tony Stark's funeral had the decency to invite T'Challa to his funeral, because they had inclusivity in their minds, unlike the people of Wakanda. And what about Bucky? Where was he? I mean, the man was practically a member of the Wakandian people. He was wearing the garbs and everything. What, you're not gonna invite him? I'm pretty sure he was a citizen of Wakanda by that point. And let's talk about another problem with Wakanda Forever. The movie seemed a little bland, like it lacked star power. And I know they introduced Namor, but I'm sorry, after he got embarrassed and humiliated by Shuri, any interest I had in the character of Namor fizzled out. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about Namor. That's what they want us to call him now, is Namor. But I'm sorry, the character was named Namor way before Disney got its paws on him. And his name is going to continue to be Namor. But the writers of Wakanda Forever want us to start calling Namor Namor and accept his new backstory of being a Mayan from the 1500s, which is fine, but I'm sorry, I'm not gonna call him Namor. His name is Namor. And the reason that Wakanda Forever changed Namor's backstory was because they're all about inclusivity, even though they didn't bother to include the Avengers in T'Challa's funeral. But what they did include was Riri Williams, the Ironheart, who is supposed to take up the mantle left vacant by Iron Man. But to me, that didn't make any sense, because in Iron Man 3, we were already introduced to a kid who we all thought was gonna take up the mantle of Iron Man in the form of Iron Lad. And why Ironheart? Ironheart was literally canceled for being hugely unpopular. The character of Riri Williams is one of the most disliked characters in all of Marvel. And what is up with that armor? Listen, I get it. Her name is Ironheart, but you don't actually have to make her armor look like a heart. And what is up with Riri having a blast, literally committing genocide by taking out a population of indigenous people that was thought extinct? I mean, she was having the time of her life just blasting away, taking those people out. And another problem with Wakanda Forever is that it just lacks something, and I can't put my finger on it. To me, Wakanda Forever was like going to McDonald's and getting the signature Big Mac, taking it home, taking a bite out of it, only to find out they forgot to include the secret sauce. And all you tasted was just bread, meat, and lettuce and pickles. And to me, this could have been avoided with the inclusion of an actual villain. Because let's face it, even though they told us Namor was the villain, he was a really sorry portrayal of a villain. I mean, the dude gave up and sold out his own people. No, I think that the writers of Wakanda Forever really dropped the ball. By not having a legit villain like Doctor Doom, they could have expanded the story and truly connected it to the rest of the MCU. The writers of Wakanda Forever could have literally used this movie to introduce Doctor Doom into the MCU. It would have been perfect. They could have made it that Doctor Doom was the one pulling the strings between Namor and the people of Wakanda to create conflict so he can just move in and take the vibranium for himself. But instead, Wakanda Forever tried to tell us that the US government was the true villain behind it all. That their greed and lust for vibranium was the true cause of the suffering behind the Wakandian people. But did we forget that it was Namor that took out Shuri's mom and flooded the entire city? But no, the US government, they're the bad guys. Why? Because it's cool to make the US bad. When all the US government wanted to do was just use some of the vibranium to make the world a better place. I mean, why must the Wakandian people be so greedy and hoard all the vibranium? They brag all the time about how they are the most advanced country in the entire world, that their standard of living is so much higher than anybody else's, yet they don't want to share any of the wealth? Why not share some of the vibranium with the United States? Why not share it with some of the other people around the world? Do the rest of the people not deserve to have those higher standards of living? And what's with Wakanda and the whole monarchy thing? Kings, queens, unelected officials? It seems to me like the Wakandian people are being oppressed, and I think that they need a little taste of freedom. But let me know what you think down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.